Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Existentialist. I'm OJ. In this series, we cover topics on mental health, existential inquiry, and self realization. Um, Today, I am really excited to have with me Preena. I know Preena personally from 5 years ago. We went together to New Acropolis, which is a school of philosophy. uh, Over the years, she's had her own inner journey, and now she is practicing as a yoga teacher, a spiritual healer, an intuitive, an inner guide. And I just got to hear today a shaman, and she's dedicated to helping the lives of other people through their inner journey. So glad to have you, Preena. How are you doing this morning?
Hi, thank you so much for having me over, and I'm really excited too. And I'm good, thank you.
Great. Once again, really glad to have you. Yes, tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing.
Um, all right. So my journey into serving people began very recently, in fact. And the reason was because I had myself gone through a journey of healing and rediscovering myself a few years ago. And it was a very intense phase of my life where I had to go through a lot of pain and suffering to actually understand a deeper meaning of life. And through that process, there was a lot of transformation that happened within me. And it also became clear to me that my journey is probably to help others heal and understand themselves at a deeper level. So, and also help humanity evolve. So that was the reason why I took this journey, took this path, because I realized that this was my purpose, this was my passion to be able to serve in the best way possible and help people understand themselves and their own potential. Yeah.
So well put, Preena. You put in such a compact and nice manner something that you've been going through and now you've been helping people. I love to hear the fact that you're following your passion and you're following your inner voice in doing this. Uh, every time I speak to you, you are so full of energy and passion. So I'm curious, what makes you so passionate about this?
So I lived a very, very suppressed life. Right from my childhood, when I was growing up, had a very difficult mother, and there was a lot of suppression in the house. And then I was married into a family, to a person where I did not really want to be married into. And so over these years, I was living in a very, very unconscious life. And it was almost like a victim mentality as to, like life is happening to me and life is painful, life is suffering, and I had no clarity about life, also how to live life, um, with a lot of love, passion. And my entire life was based out of fear because of the suppression that I had gone through. So every decision that was made in my life was not by me, and it was made out of fear. None of it was out of this feeling of love, unconditional love. And that realization came to me a few years ago when I went into deep depression. About 5 years ago, I remember, and I would just sit in a dark room and not wanting to talk to anybody and just crying or be basically lost, couldn't see anything in future because it was all darkness. And that's when I stumbled upon this book, the Bhagavad Gita, and that also changed my life because it gave me a totally different perspective. Like we always look life from the physical aspect, but it gave me a glimpse into the metaphysical aspect also. And I was like, oh wow, means there is something else out there as well. Because when you explore everything in the physical world and you still feel miserable and disconnected, then you feel lost because what else? But my journey into spirituality gave me a completely different outlook and perspective, and something which is unlimited, because the physical world is a very limited space. There's just so much out there, but the metaphysical space, the invisible, is unlimited. You can be on it for years and years and still keep discovering. And that's how my journey actually began also, when I started going deeper and deeper into my own spiritual practices and into learning more, gaining more knowledge, gaining more and more and more. But you see, on the journey, gaining knowledge is not enough. You need to build it into practice. You need to make it your own, make it, it needs to convert into wisdom, which means that you'll have to come to a point where you'll have to make really tough decisions and shed all those things, which you have been fed from childhood, which were actually not in line with your true self. So those had to be kept aside, and I had to make new choices, painful choices, because when you are used to choosing from a certain perspective, from the ego self, your choices are very different. But when you start connecting with your soul self, your choices become a whole lot different, which means that your personality will suffer, your ego self will suffer. And that's why people feel that being on the spiritual journey is suffering. Whereas I feel that being on the spiritual journey is liberating, because you're no longer operating from the ego self, you're going towards your soul self. And it's actually a very freeing feeling. And when I went through this feeling myself, when I experienced spiritual, well, you can say peak moments, I had a spiritual awakening as well. So that gave me an insight into a lot of deep, embedded belief systems that I was holding on to, which were not at all helpful for me. And they were the ones, because of which I was in so much depression and disconnection and pain and suffering. So releasing those belief systems, building new belief systems, the awakening gave me such a new perspective, fresh perspective of life, of my own self, that not following it would be a crime to my own self. So this was what led me into the spiritual life, and it just became such a passion for me to do this for others, because the changes that I experienced in myself, the confidence, the connection, the love that I was feeling, and everything changed at such a drastic rate for me, that it almost became like, oh my god, I want to do this for others too. I want them to have the same feeling. I want them to like experience what it truly means to live a life of fullness, of your highest potential, of connection, of community, of love, because this is really absent in today's world. So that was the reason why I chose to take this journey.
Wow, such powerful words. Thank you so much, Preena. You gave such an insight into your journey, uh, into what brings it together, and why you want to put this out there for people now. Once again, I cannot help but realize that you're bringing forward your own lessons and your own journey, and now sharing that, and that's the source of your enthusiasm and passion. You mentioned about spirituality and the spiritual journey. What does that really mean for somebody who is totally unaware of it, or somebody who does not really understand it properly? Because there's a lot of misconception, I believe, about spirituality. So, what is it according to you?
Yes, so the misconception lies in the fact when people believe that leading a spiritual life will isolate them from everybody and everything, which is not true. In fact, it is a life which will help you to connect with yourself at a deeper level and with the world around you as well. Because, the only way to connect with the world correctly, beautifully, lovingly, and with the people around you is to first experience that within yourself. Because if you haven't experienced that within yourself, you will always feel a disconnection with people. So this was the reason why like a connection with yourself is really, really important. And how you can practice spirituality? Well, you have to first start with deeper questions, like digging deep, like what is your true identity? Like who are you? Why are you here? What is your purpose of being here? I mean, are we here to just like come, study, get a job, get married, have children, retire and die? Is that it, or is there more to it? So you need to have a very questioning mind, a mind which is, wants to know more, like a curious mind, like, and look at everything with a sense of wonder, because nothing is happening randomly. There is a very, very intelligent um, entity behind the whole experience of life. And we tend to overlook that, right? That's why we feel such a disconnection. We feel that this is it, the physical life, whatever we see through our senses, experience with our five senses. And we believe that to be it, that is it. But the problem is that people don't realize that in the spiritual, when you want to transcend the physical world and go move towards the metaphysical, You have to go beyond your five senses, which means the phrase that people use, if I see it and I believe it reverses. It becomes, if I believe it, I will see it.
Can I
So
see
that
it?
belief has to be there. It has to be completely like it needs to become a conviction that yes, there is something out there and I need to find that out. So, which means your journey into deeper aspects of life must begin with your own questioning, with your own will that you want to know more. So, what will help you would be, to start reading books on spirituality, because though they tend to give you a totally different perspective. So you will realize that initially it will just be about gaining knowledge and knowledge. Oh, it will be like oh my god, I didn't know this. Oh my god, I didn't know that. So there'll be so much revelation that will happen for you, at the starting stage, because there's so much. It's a world which is endless possibility. It's limitless, like I said, boundless knowledge, information, wisdom, connection, experiences. So you need to open yourself up to receiving, because if you're not open enough to receiving, it will not come to you. So belief is the first thing, opening up yourself up to reading more on spirituality, connecting with nature. I think this is a fundamental aspect of really practicing spirituality at its really core, because nature survives us, it thrives us. We're not here randomly. There is nothing we can do without nature coming into play. If you really look at your life, not just food, but everything around you, if you see, it's coming from where? It's coming from the earth, it's coming from nature, it's energy, and it's a very powerful energy, an energy that is sustaining the entire planet. So you need to build a connection with nature, which means go for walks in nature, do some planting, do some gardening, anything that helps you, like be very physically connected with nature. This will help you to ground yourself, to understand, to build that love and that gratitude for what nature is offering you. And besides that, what else can you do? You can, I think, like in all elements of nature, sun bathing or sun gazing is so very important, because it helps you clear a lot of things that are a lot of belief systems. Um, I don't know if people have heard about pineal gland, but one way to strengthen your connection with your pineal gland and clear the pineal gland is by sun gazing. So I really recommend people do sun gazing, like when the sun rises in the morning when it's orange, then 10 minutes in the morning or maybe 10 minutes in the evening when it's setting. That is extremely important. Third thing I would recommend is meditation, because or let's not call it meditation, because the moment you say the word meditation, you're like, oh, I can't do that. There's already a barrier. So what you can do is you can just sit in quiet with yourself. Don't have to do anything. Just sit, close your eyes, and sit and just observe what is happening. Like reduce the distraction around you, so that the mental distraction also reduces. And when the mental distraction, the mental chatter reduces, it's only then that you can start accessing your inner self, your deeper self, your soul self. Because if there is a lot of noise around you, you will not be able to hear that little voice which is always present within you. So these three ways I really highly recommend for people, so that they can at least start the journey. Of course, there's a lot more. There's a lot more on this journey, and you will always keep learning and growing and learning and growing. But if somebody is starting out, build a connection with nature, start reading books, and start sitting in a quiet place for some time, a dedicated amount of time for yourself.
There's always so much to learn when I'm talking to you. And even right now, I was just spellbound and I was just, lost in what you're speaking and just grasping everything that you're sharing. And you always have so much to share and so much to give. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
You mentioned various techniques that we can follow. I think some of them are really doable, really tangible rather than things which are kind of, floating in the air. Can you tell us a little bit about the need for this and why one should incorporate it in everyday life, why it is a practical and necessary thing to do?
Yes, of course. So the issue which most of the world is facing right now is complete disconnection. Um, because you're disconnected from yourself, you lose a lot of power within yourself. And when you lose that power within yourself, you start depending on situations and people around you to give you that power. So you start um, focusing a lot on the external, which means you will start building a social circle. I'm not saying it's wrong, but a lot of people are doing it out of a need to feel full because they experience that emptiness. So the need to earn a lot of money or get a job which is high paying job, because that fulfills you, or going too much into your family and your children and you completely immerse yourself over there. So these are just I call them escape mechanisms. It's a very common term which is used for people who are unable to find themselves or find their own power or find their own purpose. So they start, and they feel a sense of void. So they start getting their power from somewhere outside. Having a good social circle is empowering, yes. Having a good job is empowering, yes. Having a good family system and everything is empowering, yes. It is empowering, for sure. But the problem is it's outside of you, it's external, and you have absolutely no control over it, which means that if someday your friends decide not to show up for you, you're by yourself. If someday you lose your job, you're by yourself. If someday something happens in your family, you're by yourself. And because I have gone through it myself, I have gone through that phase where I lost friends, where I lost my will to work, and my so many aspects got affected. And I realized that I'm nothing. I'm absolutely nothing. And it's very important to even experience that stage, because when you realize that you're nothing, only then can you start building up. Because if you're already full with the external, you're not making space in the internal to do something different, to build that inner power. So in your power will only come from within. And that is something that nobody can take from you, because it's something that you have realized yourself, that you have found yourself. So, and once you find that power, then you stop depending on the others to fulfill you or make you complete or whole. And that brings you in a very, very, again, like a strong position, because irrespective of what is happening around you, you are still feeling that power, you know, which most people don't experience. And this power is possible only through living, only through understanding the spiritual life. Spiritual life is not about leaving the world and going, it's about realizing who you are and living from that realization, from that truth, because that will ultimately make you the person that you are so yearning to be. We all feel inspired by these powerful people, strong people, the game changers, the people who have taken things in their own hands and done fantastic things for the world. It's so inspirational to see them. But I also want to tell people that this is possible for everyone. Everyone has that potential to become powerful only if you dedicate yourself to your evolution and your growth. So spirituality is should be the foundation for your entire life, because it will give you a perspective um, about each and every aspect of your life, a higher perspective, which means everything in your life starts improving. Your relationships start improving. You start, your job becomes better, or the work that you're doing, you become better at that. Your relationship with your family starts becoming better, or whatever it is that is happening around you. Everything starts to transform and become um, much more deeply understood and yeah, better.
Okay, amazing. Amazing. Thank you for this perspective, not just sharing about the benefits of it, but also the burning need for it right now, the feeling of emptiness and incompleteness that so many of us feel, and is the cause of burnout and so many issues and the whole self-help industry, and really going into the roots of how one can connect with oneself and one's higher self. So thank you for that. You are so passionate about this. You are so enthusiastic, and you have so many insights to share. I know that you are offering various things at the moment, some classes, some programs. Can you tell us more about what you're offering in this space?
Yes, so currently, like I said, my journey has just started. So I do offer yoga, but I help to give people a deeper aspect, a deeper understanding of the practice of yoga. Because yoga also, like, has become very commercial and it's very body based. But how you can get the spiritual aspect out of yoga is something that I really want to share with people. And besides that, I'm working on a healing program, especially for people who want to heal from a specific incident or a trauma or something, an event that kind of, caused a lot of pain. So I'm working on a healing program where there is a stepwise approach as to how to heal from a particular wound, and it is like time bound, and you can through following those steps, you will be able to heal yourself much faster, because healing also takes a lot of time. It's an ongoing process, right? People take a lot of time, maybe months, weeks, months, maybe years also. But if you can do it in a systematic way, in a stepwise fashion, and really dedicate yourself to that program, then your healing will become much faster. And of course, healing is very, very important because it frees your energy to focus on higher aspects of yourself. Besides that, I'm also offering a chakra program where I will be teaching a lot on chakra yoga, chakra psychology, and what each and every chakra means, going in depth about about your issues, the problems, not just on the physical level, but also psychological level, and of course the spiritual level. So yes, this is what I'm offering for now, and I also offer one-on-one sessions with people, people who really want to take the spiritual journey seriously and are really uh, intent on evolving. So I help them through a one-on-one session where they can get to know themselves better, release the old patterns. First understand the old patterns, the beliefs, and the healing that is required. Release them, and then how to build new and better belief systems, better ideologies, and a completely different perspective of life. Where you actually start thanking the universe for not just the blessings, but even the lessons, because we fail to do that, right? The lessons are there for a reason, so both are important.
Awesome. You mentioned about your healing program as well, something that you were talking to me and that you feel so strongly about, and also bringing
Definitely.
together the spiritual aspect and the healing with the psychological aspect and bringing it into day-to-day life. So thank you for sharing about that, and I really hope that this goes well. I've already been to your yoga
Thank you.
class. I know how authentic you are in everything that you put forward, and I hope that this is able to reach a lot of people. I know that you also share your wisdom on Instagram. You have posts and various live sessions, and we can probably share your Instagram in the description at the video. Just to close, you've already shared some techniques. You've touched upon them, but for somebody who is starting on their spiritual journey, starting to discover themselves, do you have any message or advice that you'd like to give them?
I think I already mentioned it. This search has to be from within. And the two things that will really help you, or two, three things that will help you on this journey, will be trust, patience, and perseverance. These three things, I cannot stress more on the importance of these three things on this journey, because this journey can be very frustrating, because we are so used to using our five senses that we always want to look for results. But on this journey, everything is felt, it's not seen. So sometimes you can lose faith. You can feel that, oh, this is all in my head and there's nothing at all. It can get daunting. It can be, you can feel that, this is all make believe. But trust, patience, and perseverance is what is will really help you take you through life, take you through the spiritual life. And please, teacher is very important. I feel guidance of a teacher will really help you to fasten your journey and to keep you directed and focused, because you can get lost on this journey also. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo out there. So a teacher will really help you to focus on what is the essential, what is important, and keep the main thing, and guide you through the process. So yes, this is something which, if you can, you must.
Thank you so much for the insights. Trust, patience, and perseverance is what I took away from it, but also the importance of having a teacher and having the right guidance. Thank you for all the insights that you shared. It's a lot to take in, and I'm sure that a lot of us have questions about certain aspects. And I invite you all to leave your comment down below about any questions that you have for Preena. um, I look forward to having her answer them for you, as well as you can reach out to her directly on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here, Preena, and for sharing all of these lovely insights today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a privilege to be here and to talk about the thing that I love the most. So thanks for the opportunity. And yes, I hope to see you
And
soon.
thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel so you can be in touch with all the latest videos and all the amazing people that I get to talk to. And I hope you're well and have a good rest of the day. Bye for now.